The city was alive with its usual chaos. Honking cars, bustling crowds, and the hum of life moving at breakneck speed. But amidst the noise, there was a figure that seemed frozen in time. On the corner of Maple Street and Fifth Avenue, an old man sat hunched over, his tattered coat barely shielding him from the biting cold. His name was Samuel, though no one in the city knew it. To them, he was just the beggar. Samuel's presence was a paradox. While the world rushed past him, he remained still, his eyes holding a depth that few bothered to notice. His face was etched with lines of hardship, yet there was a quiet dignity in the way he held himself. Every day, he sat in the same corner, a worn-out hat placed in front of him, hoping for the kindness of strangers. But Samuel wasn't always a beggar. Once, he had been a man of means, a successful businessman with a thriving career and a loving family. His downfall began with a single mistake, a gamble on a risky investment that cost him everything. Overnight, he lost his fortune, his home, and, eventually, his family. The weight of his failure crushed him, and he found himself on the streets, a shadow of the man he once was. As the days turned into months, Samuel became a fixture of the city, invisible to most. But one day, something extraordinary happened. A young woman named Clara, a journalist with a knack for uncovering hidden stories, noticed him. Unlike others, she didn't just see a beggar. She saw a story waiting to be told. Clara approached Samuel cautiously, unsure of how he would react. To her surprise, he greeted her with a warm smile. "Spare some change?" he asked, his voice soft but steady. Clara shook her head. "Not today," she replied, "but I'd like to hear your story." Samuel hesitated. It had been years since anyone had shown genuine interest in him. But there was something about Clara's sincerity that broke through his defenses. And so he began to speak. Samuel's story began in a small town, where he was born into a modest family. From a young age, he was driven by a desire to succeed and to rise above his circumstances. He worked tirelessly, excelling in school and eventually earning a scholarship to a prestigious university. After graduating, Samuel entered the world of finance, where his sharp mind and relentless work ethic quickly set him apart. He climbed the corporate ladder with astonishing speed, becoming one of the youngest executives in his company. Along the way, he met and married the love of his life, Emily, and together they built a beautiful life. However, success, as Samuel would later learn, is a double-edged sword. The higher he climbed, the more he risked losing. His downfall began with a single decision, a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. It started with a tip from a colleague about a surefire investment opportunity. Samuel, confident in his abilities, poured a significant portion of his wealth into the venture. First, it seemed to pay off, but then the market crashed and Samuel lost everything. The loss was devastating, but it was only the beginning. As the financial fallout spread, Samuel's marriage began to crumble under the strain. Emily, unable to cope with the sudden change in their circumstances, left him, taking their young daughter with her. Alone and broken, Samuel spiraled into depression. He turned to alcohol to numb the pain, and before long, he found himself on the streets. The once proud businessman was now a beggar, relying on the kindness of strangers to survive. As Samuel recounted his story, Clara listened in silence, her heart breaking for the man before her. But she also sensed something else, a glimmer of hope, a spark of resilience that had somehow survived despite everything. Clara left her encounter with Samuel deeply moved. She knew his story needed to be told, not just for his sake, but for the countless others like him who had been forgotten by society. She began to research Samuel's past, piecing together the fragments of his life. What she discovered was both heartbreaking and inspiring. Samuel's story was not just one of loss and failure. It was also a story of resilience and the enduring human spirit. Despite everything he had been through, Samuel had never given up. He had faced unimaginable hardships, yet he continued to wake up every day, determined to survive. Clara decided to write an article about Samuel, hoping to shed light on the struggles of the homeless and to challenge the stereotypes that often surrounded them. When the article was published, it quickly went viral, touching the hearts of readers around the world. Donations poured in, and offers of help came from all directions. But the most surprising response came from Samuel's estranged daughter, now a young woman living in another city. She had read the article and recognized her father in the story. Moved by his plight, she reached out to Clara, asking to be put in touch with Samuel. Clara arranged a meeting, unsure of how it would go. When Samuel saw his daughter for the first time in years, he broke down in tears. It was a moment of profound healing, a chance to rebuild the bridges that had been burned so long ago. With the support of his daughter and the kindness of strangers, Samuel began to rebuild his life. He entered a rehabilitation program to overcome his addiction and started taking small steps toward financial independence. But Samuel's journey was about more than just personal redemption. Inspired by the outpouring of support he had received, he decided to use his story to help others. He began volunteering at a local shelter, sharing his experiences and offering hope to those who had lost their way. Over time, Samuel became a symbol of resilience and the power of second chances. His story reminded people that no matter how far they had fallen, it was never too late to rise again. As for Clara, her encounter with Samuel changed her, too. She continued to write stories that gave a voice to the voiceless, using her platform to make a difference in the world. In the end, Samuel's story was not just about a beggar who found redemption. It was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is always hope. And so, the once invisible man became a beacon of light, proving that no one is ever truly lost. Not as long as there is kindness, compassion, and the will to keep going.